Hi there, everybody. This is Amy Lohr, and this is the webinar on Are you frustrated, tired, and annoyed by dealing with the same old issues? So I think we can all relate to the points in life where we just get frustrated. We keep repeating the same old habits and the same old solutions along with that, mostly just because we don't know or we haven't experienced new options or strategies. So I'm really excited to bring this content to you today, sharing my expertise of over 10 years in the mental health field, trauma-informed care, and coaching to help people get unstuck. So we're going to talk about 3 strategies to get unstuck. And I work as a coach and advocate for people recovering from psychotherapy, which is an interesting concept. If you want to learn more about that, please reach out to me. But really, no matter where you're stuck in life or how you got there, I'm happy to walk you through that. And I hope today that this webinar you're listening to will give you some excellent tips. So you're stuck, and now what? As I said, everybody gets stuck at some point where they're in those same old patterns and repeating the same old unhelpful solutions. And the first step is to really acknowledge that, to be honest and admit to yourself that I'm actually just repeating the same patterns and I'm just repeating the same solutions. And I need to start reaching beyond myself to actually find a new way. Something else that's going to, maybe it needs to be radical, maybe it needs to be really simple, but you just haven't found it yet. So the next step is to get unstuck. Today's going to be about practicing the skills to move beyond your frustrations and to go from just managing symptoms and dealing with surface issues to actually getting to and attending to the roots. So this is going to be an introductory course, but you are going to get all the foundational skills that I regularly teach my clients on how to get unstuck and to use those skills again when you get stuck again, because life continues to present us with those sticky points. So it's not about creating some illusion that you're never going to get stuck again, but that you have the skills that you're regularly practicing that you can continue to utilize throughout your life, and that you have the support to continue to practice those skills as you need that support as well. Learn how to get the answers within yourself instead of relying on others. So a big part of this is about not really relying on coaches or practitioners or psychotherapists or any other to be able to help you heal or grow or get to the point where you're looking to. Those people in your life should really only be individuals that are helping you reconnect with yourself and your own skills and abilities to, be at your best, and maybe giving you some perspective or just helping you see yourself in the way that you really are. So also learn about the support available through coaching and other resources as well. So the first strategy is about offering yourself a hand. And I really like to share some case examples and experiences with clients to help illustrate some of this work. So, this has any client identifying information removed, of course, but this client also has been so adamant about me sharing her experiences as well because she had so much success. So I had a client in her 30s, we'll call her Jamie, and she came to see me because she was dealing with issues in her marriage. She wasn't feeling very close or intimate to her husband, and randomly having emotions just kind of coming out of nowhere. And I've been seeing this client, this client's been coming to me on and off for maybe over a year now. In the first session, I asked her to think about the issues that she had been dealing with recently and what she felt in her body. It took a moment, but she identified some feelings of nervousness and stress in her gut. So I asked her to offer a hand to herself and that experience by placing a hand on her gut. And that strategy of placing the hand on the place of the body where she was experiencing it was with the intention of bringing compassion. So I'll talk more about what's happening in this, but as she offered a hand to herself and created this friendly, gentle gesture, she was really just befriending herself. And I coached her in silently saying, I'm here, I care about your experience. So she was saying that to that experience and sensation that she was having in her body. So this builds self-compassion. I had her take a few deep breaths, focusing on her breathing, in that breathing into that area of her body, and the breath, as you're intending on that breath, going to that area of distress, you're really offering this kind gesture of breath and life and compassion and warmth to what you're experiencing. So as she did that, it was such a pleasure to watch her emotions start to calm and her just kind of settle into herself a bit. Before, she was kind of all over the place and really just attached and not present. So let's look at the key components of this strategy. So the first thing you're going to do, and today I don't have enough time to pause and have you go through these strategies, but you have a chance to play this back to continue to practice this. So take notes today. So you're going to call to attention the issues that you're dealing with in life. And as you do that, you're going to notice where they are in the body and the sensations that are there with that issue. So this is some basic mindfulness practices and pausing. The next is, without really processing or exploring more, you're simply going to offer a compassionate hand to that place or area of the body that you're having those sensations. So let's say, you're having some issues, maybe like Jamie was with relationship problems, and you call that to your attention and you notice that there is some stress or tension or just an overall sensation at your chest. Well, you're going to just place your hand there with an intention of compassion. And you're just breathing into that place. And you're just saying, I'm here. I care about your suffering. So as though that part of you could hear and receive your voice and your compassion. You're extending that to that part of yourself. And you're doing so without judgment. You're not analyzing, you're not criticizing, you're not judging, you're not telling the experience what to do or telling yourself what to do. You're just establishing compassion and presence with the hand. So having that very physical thing. How often do we really long and crave for physical touch that's comforting and compassionate? We really need that. So can we start to extend that to ourselves? So this is the first strategy. And that's just a summary of what you're doing there. You're calling to attention the issues you're dealing with. You're placing a hand on that sensation. And if you can't actually identify where the sensation is, that's okay. Start with just placing a hand somewhere on your body. Generally at our chest here, this is where we identify as self and center. So if you can't locate the sensation, then just place your hand here. That goes a long way to build this compassion. So let's look at the next strategy, and I'll minimize that there so you can see that. So next is about actually attending to the roots here. So this is really key in not just staying at the surface. Much of the work that people do before they come to see me unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, maybe that's just all they could do or what they needed. They just remain on the surface with learning how to manage symptoms, which is important, how to cope, but they never actually get any support or learn how to go below the surface and actually tend to the roots. So that is really probably a big part of the meat of the process in getting unstuck and really experiencing transformation and growing and healing and evolving is getting to the roots. What are these issues in life that really need attention and these patterns that I keep repeating? Well, this next strategy is where you can start doing that. You're going to take it slow, but these are the steps. And keep in mind, anytime that you feel like you need more support with practicing these skills and perspective, or things get overwhelming, or you're not sure you're doing it right, reach out to me. I'm happy to coach you through that. So first is, and let's come back to Jamie for a second so you can keep it all in context. So now that you've established some safety in your body with being a better friend and being more compassionate, you can actually start tending to the roots of the issues that you're dealing with. So this is more about attending and giving attention. So attending is awareness, but it's also active. There's a doing happening here. It's not just being aware. Awareness is still that surface. When we're actually attending and actively doing something, that's where change and transformation happens. And this is often, unfortunately, the step that is disregarded because it's the scariest step. So let's come back to Jamie. She's a bit more relaxed. She's a bit more present. And the next thing I did, and this is all in the first session, I coached her returning to the issues of her marriage. So she's befriending herself. She placed that hand on her body and she's feeling a bit more relaxed, present. She's actually experiencing some self-compassion. So I had her then ask the question to her body, what needs attention here? And I coached her on paying attention to the inner experiences that she was experiencing. And she started to notice a tightening at her chest. So I asked her to place another hand at her chest. So one hand was at her gut and one hand was at her chest. And this is helping to open and communicate the flow of energy. So her body was telling her, okay, yep, we have that sensation and that emotion at the gut, but we also have this sensation at the chest. And there's something related here to these two that need attention. So something extremely simple you can do is just use your other hand to get those two to communicate and to enable the flow of energy there, which can be huge, just practicing that in and of itself. As she did that, mentally, she became aware of being scared of being close to her husband. And at the same time, she noticed that she was observing her experiences from outside of herself and not in or experiencing the sensations in her body. So this is a common experience of dissociation that was also keeping any emotions or ability to process those emotions distant and away from her. So now we're really getting to the roots, aren't we? Her body was communicating her that the root issues to her, emotions spilling out in her life. Remember, that's what she came in with. And the issues in her marriage were around this detachment and numbing. And this is what needed attention. So her not being present with herself and being numb and detached was at the root. So I could see that more and more emotions were coming up for her with this. And I reminded her of the skill that she just used and just learned of compassion and presence as a tool to help her regulate these emotions. So as she accesses this tool again, that strategy 1 of offering yourself a hand, she just breathed into that compassion as that wave of thoughts and memories and emotions came in. And she realized that she felt abandoned, and that even more importantly, she felt abandoned by herself. As she verbalized that, the tears really flowed now in a very healing way. And she automatically, without my coaching, breathed deeply and placed her hand on her chest and said out loud, "I'm here." So that was an intuitive reaction now from the skills that she just learned from me and had already integrated. Because the thing is, once we learn something that's soothing, we crave that. Once we learn something that's healing, we crave that. It's there then as an accessible skill and tool. So she was already being her own expert and not relying on me within that first session to use that skill that she just was taught. So let's tease this apart with this strategy and attending to the roots. We're coming back to that and we're asking what needs attention here. So we're pulling up that sensation, that experience, and we're just asking our body what needs attention here. While we're doing that, we're observing and noticing without judgment. We're scanning the body, the mind, the emotions for info, and we keep moving and keep noticing. So important not to just stay attached and kind of clinging to what's going on or resisting it. Just name and notice what's happening there. And then lastly, the actual attending. So in this case, it might not be as obvious what the attending was because it kind of happened so fast, which is the brilliance of all of it. But the attending was really in bringing more presence and awareness and staying with those feelings and acknowledging her self-abandonment. Her body and her emotions needed her to be able to see that. And immediately it might be an odd thing to think about, she had more empathy for herself. She was able to really see, this is what I've been doing to myself. And wow, that really sucks. That feels bad. I don't want to do that. And I'm sorry. So there was kind of this apology and amends to self in that process. Okay, so strategy 3. Let's bring my photo back here. Hi there. Okay, so strategy 3 is about calling yourself back. So this is really acknowledging that we leave pieces of our attention and focus and emotions and ultimately ourselves throughout our experiences throughout the day. And we know that that's the case when at the end of the day, our mind is still on those things, or we feel drained, or, our family is talking to us and they're like, hey, where are you? And we're just really struggling to be present with the things that matter to us and just be here in the moment. So that's pretty typical and common for all of us. So this strategy is extremely helpful in being able to call yourself and your energy and your vitality back. So let's look at the experience with Jamie. All right, so again, this is all happening in the first session there. She just recognized, right, that she was leaving herself, that she was really detached and not present. She might have mentally been aware, but she was not feeling her emotions. She was not in her body. And that's a really tricky thing, because if you haven't really experienced being in your body, it's really hard to know that that's what's happening. And almost always I have clients that come in and they're like, yeah, I'm present, I'm here, I feel these things. And really what they're talking about is mentally they're aware of what's going on and they're really, they have a lot of insight, but they're not actually fully in the sensation in their body. And when I guide them to be present with their body, they become aware that there's parts of their body they're just not really in they don't fully feel the sensation there, or that sensation is really kind of a detached experience. So I coached Jamie on bringing her awareness to who she is today as an adult, with her mind's attention, observing and looking at her adult body while taking deep breaths with the intention of breathing into your body. So a really effective way of doing this is just, who are you today? Focus and intend on being in the person you are today, because we get so stuck in the past that we often feel and even become that old version of ourselves without consciously realizing that. We might feel young, we might feel like a child, we might feel like we're back in trauma. So this is about getting rooted and connected into your present self. So I encouraged her to invite as much of who she is today to be here that she is comfortable with, and to continue to breathe in her body to root into that. As we already had that compassion set as a foundation, which is really important, I really watched her start to calm as she was, setting that intention and welcoming herself back. And I asked her how she felt, and she said, I feel like I'm here now. I'm actually in my body, and I can't really remember the last time that I felt that. And I felt this much here. So she continued to describe how much she felt more mentally focused. She felt her energy, her strength, presence, and she really felt like, okay, I could handle my day now. Well, yeah, now that you're back here and you have access to your resources, you really can handle whatever is in front of you. And this is exactly what we're looking for. This is the key to this step, is really in the intention. And this does take practice. So if you need to walk through the emotions and just keep practicing it, there'll be a point where it really sticks and you feel this rush of energy kind of coming back to some degree. And you'll start to feel more in, like you're taking up the space of your body. So let's look at the steps with this. You're setting the intention to call yourself back. You're then compassionately inviting the parts of you that are ready and willing to return. So we're not being coercive or aggressive. It's just, sitting here and welcoming, with your mind's intention, welcoming the parts of you back from the day. So maybe just take 10 seconds here to actually do this one. Just close your eyes. Take a couple deep breaths. Remember, you're just simply being present, compassionate, a friendly invite. And just hold that intention. And just invite your mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual energy and the parts of self to come back. Those parts of you that are willing and able and safely ready to return. And let's just do this from, today, where your energy's been all over the place today. With each breath in, you're holding that intention to breathe back yet another little piece and part of you. And then just say, welcome, welcome home. So you can imagine how much you can do with this. And with each of these strategies, there's a, basic level and a deepening of the practice. And each of these build upon one another. I'd like to say that they build upon each other, that you go strategy 1, 2, and 3, However, people surprise me, and you might need to do this step first. I will generally say, though, that the step one of offering yourself a hand and practicing that compassion usually is necessary, because we've done so much wounding in our relationship with ourselves that helps to establish at least some neutral territory where whatever we do next to heal or grow or get insight is from that neutral and friendly territory, not from a relationship that we've been building that's harsh or critical, um, drags us through the day, neglectful. And it's fascinating that all those things happen very subtly and people don't recognize that. For instance, the moment that you become aware of a sensation and you try to change that, that could be experienced as minimizing or disregarding. So it's not that you can't evolve and change, but what's your first point of contact? Is it one that's compassionately acknowledging, okay, this is just here with me. This is a part of me. I see you, I hear you, I care about you. Now, what actually needs attention? And you go from kind of this humble place of being taught by the sensation and the experience what it's about. Because if you already knew, you'd probably already tend to it. So having that humility of maybe you don't know and you're attempting to continue to rectify and fix and change it is actually causing more harm than good. So that's just a kind of added tip there. So here's a recap. The 3 strategies to getting unstuck that you can continue to practice. Strategy 1, offering a hand to yourself. Strategy 2, attend to those roots. Don't just stay at the surface and actually do that action of attending, that verb. And then strategy 3 of now calling yourself and your energy back and those pieces of you back. So what's next? Practice. None of this is going to be effective in just learning it, being aware, if you don't do something with it. So I really encourage you to think about one thing right now, after you're done with this webinar, that you're going to do, that you're going to take 30 seconds or 60 seconds and do as soon as this webinar concludes. Which step are you going to practice and which part of each step? So you can even tease it out to just one little piece of each strategy and step. And you're already taking yourself in that journey to get unstuck. So if you need more support in practicing, and inevitably at some point you probably will, there's no harm in doing so. And you want to explore coaching with me or learn more about me, then contact me or go to my website, amylore.com or info@amylore.com. And I have some exciting news. I have a free gift for you. I'm so excited that you're taking a step to learn about the things you need to get unstuck. And I really want to encourage you with a free gift. So I have an exciting gift I'm going to send you. If you've attended live today, check your email. If you're listening to this on a recording, I want you to go to my website, amylore.com, sign up for my newsletter, and I'll send you that free gift as well to thank you for, getting through this webinar and your interest in taking that step to get unstuck.